aka Patters, the greatest comic book of all time. Sorry, anyone out there that wants to say it's Akira or Miles and this and that. It's Watchmen. It's $1 issue, $1 issue 1. But that's not why we're here. I like editions like this. I always pick them up. Yeah, it's a good reproduction. Watchmen was originally printed on semi-glossy paper. So, you know, you can reprint Watchmen in many forms. I don't like it when something's originally printed in newsprint. And then they give you that glossy paper. I hate it. We have a lot of precepts on this channel. I guess before we get into it, subscribe, support, leave me a comment. Guys, we're just trying to grow this channel, maybe. I don't even know. It's a hobby. But hey, give me a comment. Give me a thumbs up, just so I know you're out there. Why is this important? Why are we talking about it? On the flip side, see, we flip it. We get DC Comics Essential graphic novels. And on the inside, you know, like we kind of get like a little bit of a catalog. And we get like more info and more books. And something occurred to me. Something stood out. Something stood out. So much so, I have to bring it to my AKA Pad Army. You know, the channel, this channel where we actually read comics. We're critical about comics. And we have a nice baseline to what the future of comic books needs, which is really just going back to the past and ignoring bad practices. But we go back to the past when it was locked in and working, and we rinse and repeat until the industry goes back up through the moon. What are some of those practices? Hardcore continuity creates hardcore readers. We don't renumber issues anymore. We don't get celebrities. We really don't get celebrities to get involved with the comic book industry. I don't care if you're a film director or a writer or a producer. If you're from Hollywood, get out of comics. We want comic books made by comic book people. I know that could be a little bit too much of a platitude for some of you, but we have baselines. We want to encourage readership. We don't want to encourage people to buy an omnibuy or overly expensive, unattainable reprints. We want it all to be accessible, to be read. If you have to spend $300 for an omnibuy of Conan the Barbarian Volume 2, Volume 3, no. Those Conan issues should be available somewhere cheap, black and white, and pick them up. And people will be like, but Pete, you're against people reading comics. How can you be for people reading comics over here and then be against reading comic books over here? Guys, not all the arguments are one-to-one. I am sorry. Oh, we want to get rid of variant covers. I like the days. Just for an example. Like, I like the days where you could just buy one cover. You would get one effing cover. So, it's stuff like that, right? Like, no more variant covers. The gimmicks, I'm not against the gimmicks when it comes to landmark issues. Meaning, if you want like a holofoil issue 25 or like a gatefold or even like a poly bag, I'm not against that. I'm against gimmicks for unlandmark issues or centennial issues, so on and so forth, just to trick retailers to ordering high numbers. We want things to happen inside the comics. We want, just for example, like Death of the Family, right? Or even Batman Year One. It was just thrown into the title. It was like issues this, and this. It wasn't a separate miniseries. It wasn't even a separate event. It was something that they advertised, yes, but they threw it into the regular run of the book. There should just be a couple issues from that year that focuses on a particular like storyline or direction. Constant like iterations and multiverses, we don't want these things in modern comics. So anyway, there's a little bit of a rant there. I had a revelation while going through this list. and I want to see if you can track it with me. I'm going to present the list, and then we're going to go through the list. Okay? So let's hit that drawing table. These are the graphic novels that DC Comics says are essential. Let's go. Riddle me this. We have a big question when it comes to DC Comics, essential graphic novels. What's the intent of this? Riddle me this. What's the intent? Because everything we have in here, I want to make this point. Let's just say you go into a bookstore and you buy Catcher in the Rye. J.D. Salinger, right? If you want to if you want to get inspired to do some bad business, read this book. You buy it, you read it, you love it, and maybe you go back for some more J.D. Salinger, but maybe you don't. Maybe you're just an avid reader and there's just something new. So you go back to the bookstore and maybe you pick up Jurassic Park. And maybe you read this and you dig it and you go back to the bookstore and you come back with Sidney Sheldon's The Stars Shine Down. Who's making the ducats? We have publishers here. We have 3 separate publishers, but we have one bookstore, right? We have a bookstore that it is big enough that has so much regular sales. It's so vast that they don't need you to come back and buy a Jurassic Park sequel book, right? Jurassic Park Lost World or another Michael Crichton. Because they're buying these from a single distributor. Different publisher, single distributor, enough of a cash flow to, you don't have to track this stuff. You can just go in and buy a new book and then you leave. Well, here we go. Do you guys see? Maybe we can track that comparison. Comic books are not that, aka patterns. Comic books are very different. Comic books like continuity. Continuity sells, continuity wins. Continuity. Yes. Right? Because if we like Watchmen, we can buy these other Watchmen abominations before Watchmen, right? So we might get maybe like 2 Omnis, which is silly. But then if there were regular editions, we might get 5 or 6. So we get like, we sell 1 Watchmen. We can get 5 to 6 sales. Earth 1, I believe, might have 4 books. So if we read the Earth 1 Superman, we might get, you know, Batman. I think there's a Wonder Woman. And I think there might be, like, right, is there a Super 2? Maybe. But yeah, we can get about 4 sales. So we hook them on this and we get 4. That's the mindset of comic book readers. It's not what I showed you with those books. But we have to sell continuity. So DC's done somewhat of a good job with The Dark Knight Returns has its own continuity. Watchmen now has its own continuity. But are we selling graphic novels or are we selling floppies? Because we're selling floppies. DC wants you to come in for this, right? But then you come in weekly. You come in weekly. Every Wednesday, right? You come in every single Wednesday. You're not going to come in every single Wednesday and buy a graphic novel. You're going to buy the next Batman, right? We want this guy. Hello. Little bat sign there. If we sell 1 Watchman, what do we get weekly? What do we get weekly? We get nothing. This is the nature of how people consume, read, and actually want to read comic books. We buy the collected editions when we miss out on the floppies. There's a little bit of FOMO there. So let's just see how many of these 25 graphic novels are of continuity. Meaning you can go and buy it monthly. Okay? Not Sandman. So that's an X. We'll start here. That's an X. Dark DKR. X. Sandman. X. I do know people who have purchased Sandman and they down ordered all of them. Okay? I know people who have done that. This might be one of the exceptions, but you still can't go and buy a monthly Sandman. Hey, Batman Year One, right? We talk about this. This is amongst the regularly printed comic, right? But then they stripped the 4 issues and it became Year One. And now people kind of act like it's a graphic novel, but no, it was a series within a regular series. But then again, this isn't, because this version is gone. Well, V for Vendetta, we love that, right? No. Saga of the Swamp Thing. You read Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, and then you want the modern day version of this guy. Right? Nope. Fables. No. Fables isn't even down ordered. Batman Killing Joke. No, because that doesn't go into any modern continuity anymore. And it was kind of like a what if at one point, but then it rolled into continuity, right? Or vice versa. Always confusing. Why the Last Man? Nope. No longer gets down ordered either. All-Star Superman. That's selling because of the movie coming out. But does All-Star Superman flow into weekly? It does not. Kingdom Come. There's a documentary. You can go buy the documentary. But no. Batman, Long Halloween. I think there's a prequel happening. Rob Liefeld has a cover. Doesn't go into continuity. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. No longer gets down ordered. Nope. Batman Year One. Nope. American Vampire. No. Green Lantern Rebirth. Well, this went into New 52, right? A lot of this was maintained in New 52, but then that's been, well, canceled. So we're done with that. Darkest Night. Well, we just talked about that. No. Final Crisis. No. JLA. No. Identity Crisis. No. Because, right? Because these get cut off with New 52. New 52 kills this. So there's no book. The repercussions from this book are no longer identified. Joker, Hush, Superman, Earth 1, Volume 1, no. The Flash, Rebirth, no. You guys see a pattern here? Planetary, we were just talking about Planetary, but Planetary, no. So, everything that they're pitching could be fantastic, fun, one-off comic book reads that you would go, maybe you read V for Vendetta, you go back into a comic shop, but here's what happens. That comic shop needs to down order everything we're showing you here, right? The comic shop needs to spend a hell of a lot of money to stock the entire DC graphic novel library. So much so, here's more suggestions. More suggestions. Superman for All Seasons. Batman and Robin. Batman Incorporated. Dark Knight Returns, Dark Knight Strikes Again. Right? Down order, down order. This is, to further my point, we have to talk about this. Let's just say you buy Hush. And you're like, I love Hush. Like, you're excited for Hush. But then you buy, like, Batman R.I.P. And you're like, oh, okay, this is where they bring the character. They bring the character here. Right? And you're like, holy crap. Like, this shocks you. And then the guy in the comic shop says, hey, we have a new issue of this coming next week. We can add you to a pull list, and you can just get all the new ones before they become trade paperbacks. And you're like, yes. Well, this one here, this doesn't exist. Because the continuity kills that. What if you read, like, a New 52 Origin, right? You read the New 52. And you're like, oh my God. Like, you kind of bust a nut, right? You love it so much. You bust a nut. But then you go, you buy JLA Volume 1. And then here we go. Question mark. I like this one. And the guy at the shop's like, well, here. You can down order. So you might get up to, like, Volume 5, right? And you're happy. Because you just spend like $100 and so does the shop. You spend $100 on trades, the shop gets like 50 cents. But the guy sells you this and now you're pissed because this doesn't connect to that. But you like this one better. And then you down order this one. But then these ones are out of print because now we're just mixed up and divided. Or you have to figure it out. So you gotta go on the internet. Maybe the guy at the comic shop says, hey, you want just like this Promethea thing? This is like 4 volumes and it's done. You just can read them and then you're like, you know what? That sounds refreshing. I'll take that. And that's the problem. When we talk about continuity, you even disrupt a buying pattern that essentially wants to replicate the buying pattern of avid readers. But it's a different audience. It's a different world. Comic books is different. It's a different business. It's a different mental model. Guys, I'm just dropping a little bit of my 2 cents here.